Wow, this is
What
a good time.
way to sign on to a
Ring,
show.
one ringy ringy, two
One
ringy
dingy.
two ringy ringy. So Kenny, you gonna take that call? Are you gonna patch that call?
Hopefully
through?
that's somebody that's calling into the show right now.
That's for you. Get
Yeah.
your phone. I'll tell them. Don't worry. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hector Bosa, the hardest, baddest, sexiest man on cable access to me. And on my right, Jaime, the host of In the Bleachers, the heartfelt, warming, passionate for fans of all ages and of all types and of all creeds and all that other great stuff. Jaime, a lot to talk about.
You can say that
God's
again.
Sakes. What's going on? The biggest controversy, non-controversy that's happening. Nike, Kaepernick, people are down 50-50 down the line.
Mm-hmm.
People are agreeing. People are don't. Do you agree or disagree? Because if you agree, 50% of the people are going to hate you.
I really couldn't care less, to be honest
and now,
with
if
you
you
either
disagree,
way.
that other. So, which one would you rather have? Would you rather go against our president, or would you rather go against the establishment of what it was really fought for?
Let me put it this way. I have no problem with what Nike did, making Colin Kaepernick the face of their new Just Do It campaign. Anyone who has seen the commercial should know, or anyone who has seen the slogan should know, this is all about making sacrifices for what people feel is right. For Colin Kaepernick, and this is something that has long been lost in the consciousness of of the people in this nation. Colin Kaepernick said, "I will not stand for the flag of a national anthem of a country that oppresses black people and minorities of color." Not once did he ever talk about flag burning or going against the soldiers or going against the Trump administration, although in this day and age, you got a ton of people who have had their patience worn out by that guy. This was all in the matter of racial injustice. And this is something that has been overlooked and shrugged off. Are we not speaking English? Has this guy not made it clear? Have others not made it clear to you that this has nothing to do with politics? This has everything to do with racial intolerance, racial injustice, and innocent African Americans getting gunned down because of police brutality.
I'll go even one further. Now, shoot the camera on me for a second. I go by the fact, I think all races get screwed in some shape or form. Some more than others, okay? It's not just one specific people, it's all specific, all people. For instance, the rich, the poor get screwed. All the poor people get screwed, the rich don't. So it seems. Now, then you break it up into categories of race, then color. Then people of their own race and their own color start to fight amongst each other. Light skin versus black, Dominican versus Mexican, and so on, and so on, and so on. It never stops. The only time we get united, it's when there is a blasted tragedy. That is the truth. When 9/11, oh, we're all Americans. Finally, we're all bloody Americans. Oh, yeah, fight, fight, fight. Everybody's an American. And then when it all dies down, we go back to the racial tension of this person. We go back to the racial tension of that person. I agree with what Nike did. I just wish he would have brought in more of the rainbow persuasion, not just one particular color. And that's my whole point.
Everybody's
getting screwed.
I'll even go one step
some
further
more
than
than
that.
others. Some more than others. Because even as a Hispanic, as a Latino, whichever one you want to call me, we get targeted too, just as much. But if you go to poor neighborhoods, poor white neighborhoods, they get targeted too. So everyone gets targeted. People forget when Martin Luther King did the big rallies, all people of all color walked.
That was
fought.
about as much bringing of the races together as we have seen in the last 60 years in this country. And just to give you an idea where Nike's opinion lies, this isn't the first time that they've decided to
do something supposedly controversial.
Exactly right. Does the name Kobe Bryant ring a bell? Kobe Bryant did something that was twice as bad as what Colin Kapernick is doing right now. And that was get caught in a Colorado hotel room with some girl. And there's also the matter of Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods did more cheating on his wife than any other man would even think about doing with their wives in their lifetime. Each time, both of those athletes wound up getting backed by Nike.
Our president has cheated everybody in some shape or form, man and women alike, because don't think women don't cheat. Let's get this perfectly clear now. If we're all equal, then let's get it perfectly clear that women cheat too. Okay? Plain, simple English.
Yeah.
All right.
Unfaithfulness goes both ways.
Both ways. When it comes to domestic violence,
that
also goes both ways. And people justify, always the man beating the woman. No, it goes both ways. You just don't hear it as much because it's more targeted towards men, just like this particular thing. Now, even people from the military have agreed with Colin Kaepernick. And there are some that have not agreed with Colin Kaepernick. And maybe next time I will show you a clip of one Green Beret person who gave the okay to do it. And he states that burning the flag, he may not like when people burn the flag, but you're allowed to do it. Because that's what they fought for. Now, people get enraged by this. But when you have a napkin and you're blowing into the flag as a napkin, don't you think that's disrespectful? There's a lot of things that you're not supposed to do with the flag, such as sell them, I think, if I remember correctly. There's certain things you're not supposed to do with the flag that they're doing now illegally, but because we want to show our patriotism, that's what's going on. And those people that want to protest Nike, you go right ahead. But don't burn those sneakers. There's a lot of people out there, veterans included, that need those sneakers. Plain and simple. Don't burn them like fools, like you did with LeBron's jersey when he left and all that.
Or Kevin Durant's jersey when he left OKC.
Or when you lost the Super Bowl, you start turning cards. Even when you win a Super Bowl, you start turning cars over. And I don't get that mentality of you get so hyped that you have to destroy.
Oh, wow.
It's ridiculous.
You think it's bad here in the States? Canada does it really, really badly, especially when they lose. In Montreal and Vancouver, they not only do they overturn cars, they're also looting stores. They're also burning stuff on the streets. It is bad.
It's happened here. Look at what happened in Philly, if I remember correctly.
Oh, wow.
A person eating dog poop because he thought
Wow.
He's going to be the famous man that ate dog poop. That's great. But for the love of God, people, you have to admit, and even society, we have gone paper thin. We can't even say for the love of God without offending somebody because they're a different religion. Oh, well, too bad, In some aspects, that's when it was good in the old days, because you were able to speak your mind a little more without getting, oh my God, I'm getting offended now. Everything's offense. Some of it I agree with. The Me Too movie I agree with to some degree, and I say to some degree, because there are a lot of people out there that just want to make money out of this. Just like they scam, just like they did with 9/11, just like they did with other people.
Yeah.
Look at Luis Polonia, remember?
Oh, dear God.
Poor Luis Polonia thought
Yeah.
that the girl was 18 years old.
Turns
and
out the
she
girl was 15.
15. Now, who sets that up?
She
The girl or the mother that sets her up to go, you know what, let's do it and see if we can get money out of this. This is my whole point.
I remember that like it was yesterday, and the next thing I knew, he wound up getting traded.
And that's the whole point too, you know. A lot of people said that Roseanne Barr should have just been fired and so forth. Some people will agree with that. And then one of the brothers, I forgot his name, the one that does Donald Trump.
One of the Baldwin brothers, Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin said, instead of firing her, why don't you just use her and make her apologize in one of the episodes and have people come in to show how ignorant she was for doing that? Make it more of a learning process of, okay, we're going to beat you on TV. Some people agree with that, some people don't. With the Kaepernick situation, is he the Rosa Parks of our time? As a football player, you know him better than I do. Was he that bad that he can't be in one of the teams right now?
No, not even close. It's not like a Michael Vick situation where he ran a dogfighting ring and he did almost 2 years in prison. This man exercised his First Amendment right to discuss an issue that has plagued this country for decades, and there does not seem to be any end in sight to this issue. It's funny that you mention stuff that's not been heard about.
Even the Olympics, John Carlos
And Tommy Smith
look at that,
raised a fist
doing this
in protest of all of the atrocities that were going on in the States at that time.
Now, at that time also, they wore black shoes to protest. They
And
wore
black gloves.
Socks. They wore anything that symbolized black. Okay. And even people from other countries wore pins.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't as if it was just a one-color issue. It wasn't. If everybody agreed to it, then that's what it should be.
Yep. You know, it's
a sad state when you have to start off with something so stupid like this.
Yeah.
Because I would say, to me, people are ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are not getting it, or people just don't want to get it. Because they have a certain mindset. They're sheep sometimes, where they'll believe nobody believes everything what the government says. Nobody believes what everybody says. Nobody believes it.
Mm-hmm.
No, nobody. Nobody really believes everything what people say.
Yeah.
But the guy should be in football. He's a damn good quarterback. There is no way in the world that man should not be in any organization as a second stringer and so on.
Do you know somebody had the nerve to say, well, this guy didn't have anything to sacrifice? The man practically sacrificed his career so he could discuss an issue that has been a hot button topic in this country for years.
Now, the big question is, do politics and sports go together?
I hate to tell you this, but politics and sports have been going together for many, many, many years. I can even go back a good 70 to 75 years further back.
You go way back. Back in
Way
the time.
back.
Remember that song, Way Back, back in the time?
Mm-hmm. Back in the era of World War II, there were major leaguers who willingly served in all of the armed forces for their country. Unfortunately, there were maybe one or two guys who wound up being killed in the line of duty.
Right.
Ted Williams actually lost his hearing because he was doing combat missions in Korea.
A lot of those guys back then and now.
He served in World War II and in Korea.
Yeah.
Now, that's what you call a hero. Joe DiMaggio served in World War II. Phil Rizzuto, Yogi Berra.
Yeah.
All of these guys served in World War II.
And a lot of actors and actresses did their part too. Jimmy Stewart was one. And then even Ed McMahon served. Buddy Hackett, if I remember correct. All of them people served in some shape or form.
You may not know this, but Tom Seaver was a Vietnam-era soldier. He served I think it was in the Army Reserves back in the 60s.
Yeah, exactly.
His time is very brief, but he was a Vietnam-era reservist.
I mean, do you count Elvis?
Of course. Elvis served in the Army, too. He did about a year or two.
But did he see combat?
No, this was in the mid to late 50s. This was around the area of the Cold War.
Right, because he was just doing shows. I didn't think he seen physical combat. They were protecting him.
Probably the single most controversial story that occurred in the late 60s and early 70s, Muhammad Ali refused to be drafted into the Army and serve in the Vietnam War because it was against his religion. At that time, he had already converted to Islam.
And also he stated the fact that why are we fighting these people if they didn't do nothing to us? And look at Hanoi Jane.
Hanoi Jane, yeah.
They call her Hanoi
who's still
Jane.
public enemy number one in the eyes of every Vietnam veteran soldier.
But she apologized, and finally she got what she did. She finally got what she did. But again, we're all human beings. We all bleed the same blood. I mean, not the same type of blood because some people are type A and type B.
It's still red.
But we still bleed the same color of blood, and it's getting so ridiculous. But on a happier note, football has come back strong.
Yep. The first Sunday was yesterday. They had the first game this past Thursday night, and it was a rematch of Eagles and Falcons.
And I want to go down with you. Panthers 16, Cowboys 8.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
That was
game?
one of the top games of the day. Carolina, which, by the way, is a contender for the NFC title this year, had about as supreme a defensive effort that they could have had against any team. A Cowboy team that I feel should be a contender this year, even though they've got their deficiencies, really got bottled up by the Panthers D yesterday.
Do you think that they have enough players, or do you think they have too many players on one position?
Who are you talking about?
The Cowboys.
They're really strong offensively. They're great at quarterback, really, really good at running back. But now they're suddenly looking for a tight end because their star tight end had retired and is now doing a broadcasting career. And also, Des Bryant got released, so now they're looking for a number one receiver. The problem with them is the offensive line. And some say that they're not as great defensively, although yesterday they did a decent job holding the Panthers to 16 points.
Are there people out there that they can get right now that's out there, that's a wide receiver?
If I had to guess, well, even though they won't consider him anymore, but Bryant is still looking for a job. Maybe. Well, your guess is as good as mine right now because
There's a lot of people out there that should be picked. Even in the second squad, you can always pick someone from the second squad.
And I'm thinking of Jason Witten, who was their star tight
Now-
end. Jason Witten retired after last season, and now he's doing a broadcasting career.
It's the Panthers, even though they won, how do you think they hold up as a team in general? You already dissected the Cowboys. How do you dissect the Panthers?
They're a contender for the NFC South, and that NFC South is going to be really, really strong. You've got the Panthers, you've got the Falcons who won yesterday, and you've got the Saints who had a really dreadful defensive effort against Tampa. But right now, Carolina is definitely a team to watch. They're really strong at quarterback. They're really strong in the backfield with Christian McCaffrey. Now they have Kelvin Benjamin back full strength as a receiver. Defensively, I think they're really steady. I think the Panthers can be a real player in the South Division.
Broncos 27, Seahawks 24. What do you think of that game? And what was their strength and what's their weakness on
Denver got so much better at quarterback when they signed Case Keenum. After the year that he had with the Vikings, he really raised his stock sky high. Now they have a real quarterback to try and get them through to the next level. Not necessarily as a division contender, but maybe as a wild card. Running back wise, I think they could definitely use a full-time running back, but they are going to be a lot better defensively, especially since they drafted that kid linebacker in the top 5. I think they're going to be much better defensively.
So would you say that their defense is average, above average, or excellent?
Much above average. I mean, don't forget, not only did they draft that kid, they also have Von Miller, who's one of the best defensive players in the league.
And offensively?
Offensively, aside from Keenum being the quarterback, I think they have a decent enough crop of receivers where they could probably average about 25 points a game.
Right.
So I think Denver's going to be in really good hands.
Panthers, same way.
The Panthers are the same way.
Defensively, how they
The Panthers are much better defensively.
And offensively?
Offensively, they are really, really strong with Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey. They're going to need a collective effort at receiver and at wide and at tight end in order to get to the next level.
And you're saying that Cowboys are more not lacking so much on defense, but they're good at offense.
They're much better offensively, especially at quarterback and at running back.
But their front line has to hold up.
Offensive line has really got to improve. Defensively is where some people say they're not going to be as great this year. I want to see it for myself because after yesterday, giving up only 16 points to the Panthers, if you give up 16 points to a really strong team like the Panthers, chances are you're going to stay in the game.
And what do you think of the Seahawks? Same question.
The Seahawks have really, really gotten progressively worse defensively. Earl Thomas, they finally decided to sign to a new deal. Richard Sherman got let go. Cam Chancellor is basically in retirement now because of a neck injury.
Right.
Their down line, well, the front 7 is going to be a real problem for them. Secondary-wise, they're much weaker.
Okay. And the quarterback is fine.
Russell Wilson is outstanding. As long as Russell Wilson is still taking the snaps from center at quarterback, the Seahawks are still going to be I still think they're going to be a really serious threat. Maybe not as a playoff contender, but as a real serious threat.
On paper, do you think they can beat the teams that they're supposed to be beating?
If they can get if they can get a running back, because right now, I really don't see anybody taking a lot of the handoffs from Wilson that is deserving of getting that far, but running back wise, and also I think they need a number 1 receiver too, because they still haven't gotten that big guy. I'm not sure that Brandon Marshall is the answer. He wound up making the team over the summer, but I'm not really sure that Marshall is the guy.
I wanted to ask you, since we're talking about this, what team relied a lot on, or did not rely on running back so much, and they just threw more? Do you remember any team?
Seattle was one. There was also the issue of New England. New England loved going to spread the ball around. And it wasn't just at receiver either. They used their star tight end quite a bit. So they loved to throw the ball a lot, mostly because they didn't really have a guy to hand the ball off to.
Right.
It really wasn't that necessary because they were still able to get to a Super Bowl last year. Just for once, I would like to be able to see the Patriots get that one guy that they can hand the ball off to. That way they can take the pressure off of Brady and have him not throw the ball 40 to 50 times.
Now, I could name three teams that relied on running backs, and that was Earl Campbell.
Yeah, Earl Campell with the Texans in the past.
Herschel Walker.
Mm-hmm. With the Vikings and the Cowboys.
And the Los Angeles Rams. I forgot his name.
With Eric Dickerson.
Eric Dickerson was amazing. He touched that ball and he got it through. He was a one-man team, and they knew he was getting the ball, and somehow he did it.
Yep, and that's just a few teams.
Now Detroit, Tony Dorsett
on the
was
Cowboys,
like that?
yeah. Tony Dorsett, Emmitt Smith afterwards. On the Bears, you had Walter Payton. On the Lions, you had Barry Sanders. Even now, there are certain teams that have really strong running backs that they can get the ball to.
That they just rely more on.
Kansas City has Kareem Hunt.
Right.
New Orleans now has Alvin Kamara,
Right.
who could take the pressure off of Drew Brees. The Rams now have Todd Gurley. Now the Giants have Saquon Barkley.
What a name, Todd Gurley.
Don't kid yourself. Todd Gurley is really good.
The last name Gurley. I mean, come on. I'm sorry, but you know. But going back, Dolphins 27, Titans 20. How did the game go?
Long.
And did they? And is this the team that we're going to see playing? Is this? Did they do? Are they supposed to be as good on defense and as offense, or did they lack, or did they just overcompensate?
I think Miami is just a tad bit better offensively with Tannehill at quarterback. I would like to see them get an every down running back and maybe get a number one receiver. Although Jay Ajayi is not terrible, I would like to see them get someone maybe younger. That way they can pound the ball to him about 25 times a game. But overall, Tannehill did reasonably well for himself. Tennessee is going to be a team that's going to be really dangerous this year because
they normally are. They normally are. They keep around.
They're much stronger in the backfield this year with Mariota and now DeMarco Murray, who's the every down back.
Right.
Defensively, I think they have a chance to be solid. At receiver, they're going to be really solid. Defensively is where all of the questions lie. Exactly how are they going to be defensively this year?
And the Redskins versus the Cardinals, Redskins came out 24-6. But was that really the score that they were supposed to be, or did the Cardinals just play terribly and the Redskins are that good?
It's a combination of everything that you mentioned. The Redskins got so much better at quarterback. They got older, but they got much better because Alex Smith is probably one of the best game managers in the league, and he wound up really doing well for himself. Will someone please tell NFL teams not to sign Sam Bradford? He is god-awful.
Why?
The only thing that they have going for him right now is David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald, who, by the way, is back for a 15th season.
Sam Bradford is a quarterback.
And look at that. Who's now in his 9th NFL season.
Colin Kapernick, who's better than Sam Bradford,
is out of a job. Because they don't want to bring Kaepernick because they don't want the controversy of people going and saying, oh, we're not going to watch you because you have him. Mm-hmm.
That's a 50-50 shot. And Nike had a pair of balls on them to go, we're going to take a chance on this and be done with it, you know. But the Cardinals, are they supposed to be that bad, or do you think, or are they that?
Quarterback-wise,
just one of those days.
Quarterback-wise, I think the Cardinals really should go with Josh Rosen, who they drafted with, I think it was the 5th or the 6th overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
Correction, I think he was drafted around 10th or so.
Man.
They have to make Josh Rosen the quarterback now. Sam Bradford, his best days which were very few and far between, are way behind him now.
Would he be better as a secondary and then just come in and spurts?
At least,
is he better in spurts?
In spurts, he is better. One year, he did complete 70% of his passes. The problem is, he's never played a playoff game.
Okay.
He's very inconsistent in the red zone.
Okay.
And another thing is, he's been under 500 for his career. I don't remember one single season where he's played 16 games and he's been over 500.
Ravens 47, Bills 3. That's I think to me is the Bills should never get 3 on points unless they were really doing that badly. What do you think?
I think I can sum this up in 2 words. Nathan Peterman. Nathan Peterman is the guy that Buffalo started at quarterback yesterday.
Oh, so it's the quarterback.
This is the same Nathan Peterman who in his first NFL start last year threw 5 interceptions. Yesterday, he threw 2 more. And when it was too late, they finally decided to bring in their number 1 pick, Josh Allen. And for all the talk that Joe Flacco is washed up, Joe Flacco put up 47 points yesterday.
Why would they say he's done good in most of the...
Joe Flacco is a Super Bowl champion. Granted, he has had his problems with injuries, and granted, he has also had his moments where he's been really inconsistent. But right now, he is the best thing that they have. Whether they want to go with Lamar Jackson or not as their quarterback, that's on them. But all I can say is Joe Flacco has got plenty of good years left in him.
Bengals 34, Colts 23. What do you think? Break that down for me, please. Because that looks like a really decent game.
Mm-hmm.
But do the Bengals have the defense and the offense, or do the Colts just have that? The Colts, if the quarterback is fine.
Andrew Luck, fortunately, is 100% healthy and starting now.
How is
their
the
problem
offensive
is
line?
The offensive line sucks.
Oh man.
The defensive 11, their entire defense sucks. We cannot underestimate the Bengals because they're pretty solid at quarterback with Andy Dalton and at receiver with AJ Green. But the Colts, I think even with Andrew Luck taking the snaps from center, I think they're going to be in for a really, really long season.
Patriots 27, Texans 20.
That was a very well-played game by both teams. It's just that Tom Brady was a tad better. The Texans are going to be really dangerous. In fact, I think they are going to challenge the Jaguars for the AFC South. Deshaun Watson is 100% healthy now. He's taking snaps from center and quarterback. You take away yesterday, defensively, they're a lot better with J.J. Watt and also Jadeveon Clowney.
What are they missing, do you think?
A number 1 receiver.
Boy, and the thing, here's what I don't understand. There is a lot of talented people out there in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And you mean to tell me that you can't find a number 1 receiver throughout this entire universe?
Well, one that's available. Des Bryant is definitely available. He can sign with anybody on the cheap as we speak.
Vikings 24, 49ers 16.
The Vikings are going to be really
a 50-50 team, or do you think they're going to be more than
the Niners? I can honestly say they're going to be a 50-50 squad. Yesterday was the first game that Jimmy Garoppolo lost as a starting quarterback, but I think they're going to be a lot better than this game showed. I think they're going to be better at quarterback. Defensively, I think they have the chance to be okay. I still think that they need a really capable receiver. I mean, they have Pierre Garçon as a receiver, but
right.
He's really getting up there in age.
Right.
Plus, who's going to be the guy that he's going to give the ball to? Who's going to be the every down running back for them? That's a question that the 49ers have to answer. As for the Vikings, that team is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Okay.
They now have Kirk Cousins as their quarterback.
Which
Dalvin Cook is close to 100% healthy, so I think he's going to be taking a lot of the snaps from Cousins in the backfield. Defensively, they're going to be really, really powerful. It's going to be either them or the Packers that's going to win the NFC North this year.
last but not least on this newspaper is the Chiefs 38, Chargers 28.
Yeah. This
the
is
Chiefs. Now the Chiefs, you gotta. That's something.
The Chiefs are going to be really deadly. You know why? Really, really dangerous quarterback, running back duo. And most importantly, they're young. Kareem Hunt at running back, Patrick Mahomes, who, by the way, is the son of the former pitcher of the same name, who once pitched for the Mets, at quarterback. And Patrick Mahomes looked gigantic yesterday.
And also,
And they might, and mark my words, they're going to win the AFC West this year.
I don't know who won between the Cleveland Browns and whoever they were playing.
The
but,
Steelers, and
yeah,
it was a tie.
And how do you think, does that mean that the Cleveland Browns are that good, or was that mean that the Pittsburgh Steelers were?
Cleveland's much better this year. Offensively, they are miles apart from what they were the previous 6 years.
Well, I mean, I look at it like this. With so many number one draft choices, I mean, just because you get a number one draft choice, that doesn't mean they're going to be an automatic great success.
Yeah.
But you have to hit at least as many as they've had. One or two got to come into play. So how many of those number ones have come out right now?
Number one receivers, you mean?
Number one picks that they've picked that have actually played
From this
very well.
past April?
Yeah, yes.
Well, Baker Mayfield was sitting on the bench. He's backing up Tyrod Taylor in Cleveland right now. Tyrod Taylor, I'm not a fan of his. He's very inconsistent, but he's athletic and he's ballsy.
Okay.
He wound up throwing the game-winning touchdown in the final 50 seconds of yesterday's game against the Steelers. They had a chance to finally snap that 16-game losing streak, but a field goal wound up getting blocked in the final seconds of overtime, so the game ended in a tie.
Should football go and say, you know what, let's play until whoever wins?
Yes, I would love to see them adopt the college rule. And instead of having them kick off, just do a coin flip, and whoever wins the coin toss, they either take the ball on offense at the 25-yard line, or they can go on defense.
And then
this is what they do in college.
Let both teams touch the ball because it shouldn't be the first person that scores. I think
Exactly right.
It should give them
They have a modified version in the NFL. The team that wins the coin toss, they'll either defer or receive. If they receive, they have to score a touchdown in order to win the game. But if they score a field goal, then the other team has to get a chance. And if they get themselves a field goal, then they continue on until somebody gets a touchdown, or a field goal, or the next score wins the game.
Now, when it came to the Jets, they played.
They're playing right now, as a matter of fact. They're playing the Lions.
And
it's the debut of Sam Darnold.
Oh, they decided to start him instead of the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of people should be happy, and then there are a lot of people that aren't happy. They're saying that the other guy should have started.
Yeah. And unfortunately for Jet fans, Sam Darnold is already off to a shaky start. He's already thrown a pick six. So the Lions lead 7-0.
That's not bad because 7, you can catch up. You can catch up to 7-0. Unless they're playing a tremendous defense and the Jets really stink, and they're both stink, and they're just not getting things done, and they're going back and forth. That's going to be a better score, I think.
Yep.
And how about the Giants?
The Giants yesterday opened their season at home against Jacksonville. This was the game where they had a chance to really put a stamp on the rest of the league and reveal to themselves whether they could be taken seriously or not. This isn't about winning a Super Bowl. This isn't even about clinching a playoff spot. This is about being taken seriously as an NFL team. Well, let me tell you, if ever they self-destructed in the red zone yesterday, it was yesterday.
What did it, the offense or the defense?
It was the offense. Twice they were in the red zone, and twice all they could come up with was field goals. Not only that, the offensive line, which now has 4 new faces to go along with Eric Flowers, still could not seem to open up as much holes for Saquon Barkley yesterday. And the one time that they did, he wound up getting a 68-yard touchdown. So his numbers look a lot better than they should have. 17 carries for 105 yards. But the main issue was the offensive line, number one, and number two, Eli Manning could not convert in the red zone when he had his chances. And because of that, the Jaguars wound up winning by 5 points. This was a winnable game.
Right.
And consider the fact that Leonard Fournette wound up getting hurt. This is their best chance to grab this game by the throat, and they could not get it done.
No.
And because they could not win yesterday, I shudder to think what's going to happen when they play the Cowboys next Sunday.
Well, that's another thing I'm trying to get, because remember, when you're playing in your own division and you have this rivalry, you always bring out the best or the worst. And sometimes the Giants have played their best games, even though they've lost, but they've played their best games, and you're going, oh, wow, this is a really good back and forth game, because both of them are going, it's a rivalry that's been going on for many years. So have we missed anybody else that played?
There was the Tampa versus New Orleans game.
And how did that go? Because I don't see it here.
To my surprise, and it's over here.
Oh, okay.
Tampa wound up winning, what was it, 17 points yesterday? 8 points. The score was 48-40. And guess who was the star of yesterday's game?
Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Fitzpatrick with a 417-yard game. He outplayed Drew Brees. Who saw this happening, first of all? And second of all, this is an indictment of the Saints defense. The Saints defense, which was supposed to have been improved this season, basically did their impersonation of last season and the season before.
Yeah, well, it is one game, so you can't judge them so far. I think you would have to give them at least 3 games to actually judge more or less if they're still going maybe in the right direction, because they normally change it in the half a season. But it normally takes, 10 or 11 wins to actually get to the playoffs?
Yeah. Usually about 11 wins, maybe 12.
Yeah. And then,
although there have been a lot of 10-win teams that have missed the playoffs in years past. That's why I say 11 or 12.
Right. So did we cover everyone that we needed to cover?
Pretty much everything that we needed to cover in the NFL. And for the record, after the Jet game tonight, because the first Monday night of the season in the NFL, they've got a doubleheader. So after the Jets and the Lions, it's the Rams and the Raiders.
And the one thing that was very funny to me was the fact that they did Colin Kapernick in the opening thing of the football game. They showed a Nike commercial,
which, if I'm not mistaken, lasted 2 minutes.
Right. And I'm going, wait a minute. Football, they don't know how to handle this.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to really handle this situation because revenue-wise, if I'm paying you to put this on, you're going to put it on. But if you so strongly refuse, you should say, no, you know what? I'm not putting this particular one on. So does money talk and BS walks?
Yeah, it does.
Or do you go by the fans and go, you know what? Like I said, it's going down the line 50-50, and it's something. This is something to see because we haven't had this much controversy since somebody's beating somebody's wife and a dog with the dog thing, and should he have come back?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so on. And those are controversies that does he? I mean, if he did his time, he paid for his crime. You know what? He's got to come back. And some people say, no, he shouldn't. He should be ostracized. He shouldn't come back. And so it's weird.
Tell you what, Kaepernick actually had a chance to return to the league this year because he was talking to the Seahawks, and the Seahawks offered him a roster spot on the condition that he stand for the national anthem.
Yeah, exactly.
He refused to stand for the national anthem.
And that's ridiculous. I mean, he shouldn't. Yeah, some people say he killed himself in his own foot, but I think he's making more money now than he is before.
Mm-hmm.
Serena Williams getting $17,000 for outburst.
Yeah.
Has been fined a total of $17,000 official for 3 code violations during her loss in the U.S. Open final on Saturday. Williams has been docked $10,000 for verbal abuse of chair umpire Carlos Ramos, $4,000 for being warned for coaching, and $3,000 for smashing her racket.
Oh,
Boy, imagine what's his name?
John McEnroe.
John McEnroe and the other guy used to smash rackets like crazy and speak and so on. But that's what made it fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you really had a great crop of guys with Bjorn Borg, John McEnroe,
Jimmy Connors as
well. They all made it fun.
Yep. The McEnroe versus Connors rivalry was outrageous.
Outrageous. And
McEnroe versus Lendl, Connors versus Lendl. Those were fantastic rivalries.
I know we're missing one with the hair. I forgot his name. But
there's also Bjorn Borg,
yeah,
the late Vitas Gerulaitis.
Yeah, and
even in the modern era, Andre Agassi, Pete Sampras, 2 guys who also had a really fierce rivalry with each other.
Even the women's, Martina Navratilova versus
Chris Everett. Which, by the way, was the subject of an ESPN 30 for 30 story.
You know, even the Billie Jean King
Billie Jean King, versus, of course.
Versus what's his name, the guy, but it was funny. But the allegations that are, what is it, Williams? Hey, you read the rest because I'm starting to get loosely with me. But it just says right here, it's funny how the code of and she was wearing a tutu.
Yeah. Basically what happened was the official in this game, Carlos Ramos, wound up taking away a game from Williams in that second set because of coaching in the box or from the box. Tennis players are not allowed to be coached during a game, which I think is ludicrous. They have it in the mainstream sports. Why can't they have this in tennis?
I like when they tell people, shh, be quiet. They need concentration. In baseball, you scream and shout. In football, you scream and shout. Mm-hmm. But in golf, you can't scream and shout. And in tennis, you can't scream and shout.
Yep. And then her smashing her racket had to do with, she only did that in frustration. And then she wound up getting this was after she wound up getting a break in her match against her opponent.
Who wanted to face her in the beginning, and they asked her, so what do you think about, what are you going to say to Serena Williams, I think? Hello, I'm glad to meet you.
Yep.
This is one of her idols.
Yeah.
You know, this is a woman that almost lost her life because of blood clots and so on.
Yeah.
And she's come back, and of course, because of strict dress codes, that was a problem in itself in Wimbledon, which they have to change. They have to go with the times. I mean, this isn't the 19-somethings anymore. I mean, 18-somethings where certain dress codes and so on. But it's funny, the evolution of the woman's dress code is very unique if you ever go into it. But, you know, I'm glad the other girl won. What was her name again? The girl that won?
For the record, the name of the opponent, she's from Japan, the opponent's name.
Yeah.
It was...
Dun, 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 if you see her.
Oh, let me see if I can find this over here.
Yeah. But all in all, football, because, do you think football now, because of all the controversy, is starting to make a little bit of a comeback?
It wasn't. It had never been gone in the first place.
I think it has, because you can't smash mouth hit anymore like they used to.
Yeah.
They've cut down on certain things.
And they've put in a couple more rules for the game, a lot of which have to do with leading with the helmet.
Yeah.
Players cannot lead with their helmet anymore. No more helmet-to-helmet hits unless it's incidental.
And how do you, and that's another thing, how do you tell if it's incidental or not? Look at this one.
Yeah, let's discuss some stuff that's going on a little bit closer to home right now.
Finally.
Yep. A word of congratulations, first of all, to the people at Farrell who wound up winning the individual title thanks to Chris Paxis. They won the boys' team title at the Luke Parlatori Invitational cross-country meet, which took place at Clove Lakes.
You know, congratulations to them. They normally do a pretty good job. Farrell doesn't normally. And their football teams, you know, McKee's, Newdorf, they all have strong football teams.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that. They must have some.
Of course, this year, high school season just recently got started. Curtis, of course, is the two-time defending champion. So hopefully they'll be able to add a third title to the repertoire this year.
And also going to the standings of Boston in first place.
He's talking about the major leagues right now.
Yankees 89, second place. Tampa Bay in third. Toronto fourth. Baltimore fifth. The Yankees are 8 behind Boston. Do they have a chance? Perhaps because they're going to play Boston pretty soon.
Well, they've got 2 more series left with the Red Sox, but I can tell you right now, even though there are 19 to 20 games left in the season, 8.5 games is a lot to ask the Yankees to make up. By far, the Red Sox are the team to beat in the East. In fact, I can even go so far as saying I think the Red Sox have this Eastern Division wrapped up right now. They're just playing out of their minds right now. They got a huge win yesterday against Houston at home in the extra innings. It's painfully obvious the Red Sox are the team to beat in the playoffs this year.
Cleveland, first place. Minnesota, 15.5 back.
That's Cleveland's division right there.
Detroit, 20. Detroit's in third place with 22 back. Chicago, 25 back. Kansas City with 33.5 back. They're going to have to
Cleveland is wrapping this division up sometime this week. The magic number is 5. They've done it with pitching. They've done it with really solid hitting. I think Cleveland becomes the first team to clinch a playoff spot.
Western Division, Houston, 88 wins. Oakland, 3 back. Seattle is 10.5 back. Los Angeles is 18.5 back. And Texas is 26.5 back.
I wouldn't count Oakland out, though. They have just smoked everybody in their sight in the last, I would say, 6 weeks or so. And now it's gotten to the point there where not only are they close to clinching a wild card spot, they might even overtake Houston and take the West.
Now, here's where it gets funny in the National League Eastern Division. Atlanta is in first place. Philly's 4.5 back. Washington is 8 back. Mets are 13.5 back. And Miami, 22.5 back.
Atlanta is just defying logic among the critics this year. Everybody said that this was going to be the Nationals division to win. Washington's a game under 500 right now. Atlanta has been doing this with great, great young players. More importantly, they're doing this with pitching and with Ronald Acuna, their rookie star, hitting like a machine around the majors. He's going to be the National League Rookie of the Year this year.
Chicago's
got 83 wins.
83. Milwaukee is in second place, 2 back. St. Louis, 4.5 back. Pittsburgh, 12 back. And Cincinnati, 23 back. Now, can Milwaukee and St. Louis have a chance to catch
I think
up?
Milwaukee has more of a chance than Chicago does. Milwaukee has much better pitching. Chicago, I think, has a little bit more balance in their batting order. But after John Lester and maybe a couple of other guys, I think Milwaukee can match up with them pitching for pitching.
Can Philly and Washington have a chance? Is there 4.5 and 8?
Philly's slumping badly. Okay. They are slumping so badly right now. They cannot hit. And they were here over the weekend to play the Mets. Mets took 2 out of 3 from them.
Okay, and last but not least is Colorado in first place. Los Angeles, a half a game back. Arizona, 2.5 games back. San Francisco, 11 back. And San Diego, 22.5 back.
That's the best division in baseball right now. 2.5 games separating 3 teams for the lead. Who saw Colorado overtaking the Dodgers out west? Colorado's been doing this with surprisingly really good pitching this season. I would not count the Dodgers out. I think they've got the better pitching staff. Arizona, I think, has a better batting order, even in spite of the fact that the Dodgers have Corey Seager and Yasiel Puig. I think Arizona has a much better slugger this year. Well, as far as the Yankees and the Mets are concerned, the Yankees took 2 out of 3 from the Mariners. They have the Twins coming up to finish their road trip, and then they come home for their last homestand of the season. At least the Mets are playing a little bit better. Their game tonight with the Marlins got rained out, so they're going to have a doubleheader on Wednesday. But right now, it's just a matter of the Mets seeing what they have. And right now, the Mets do have a couple of guys in their batting order that they could probably look to for next season. Jeff McNeil and Brandon Nimmo. I think they should give those kids a real shot at starting spots next season.
Now, because I'm looking forward for the basketball season to start.
That starts in October with the preseason.
That's going to be something.
And hockey season officially starts next week with their preseason.
And that's going to be something else. And Kevin Knox is saying that we're going to make the playoffs. You never know. I look at it like this. The same way Colorado and all them other teams weren't supposed to make it, you never know. Somebody can fall. Somebody can break an arm. Somebody. I'm not saying that they will. I'm saying that it could be possible because in that division, there's about 2 slots. There's about 6 slots of teams that are supposed to make it. And then there's 2 slots left that they're not supposed to make it. There's up for grabs. But ladies and gentlemen, we got to go.
Yep.
Jamie, take it away.
All right, let's say thanks to Kenny Graham, who's on the other side of the glass, and also to you guys for watching us at home. If you have a story that you want to share with us, then contact us through Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Snapchat.
And my name's Hector Bosa. Just watch my show at HomeInvadersVarietyShow.com.